everyone, thank you for joining us on the T-Level for Engineering and Manufacturing webinar regarding the Design and Development Occupational Specialism. We've just got some more attendees joining us, so we will be starting shortly. Occupational, we will also be looking, in addition to that as well, we'll also be taking you through a walkthrough of how to find these resources as well. So a fun-packed afternoon regarding this type of specialism for this area. So today, the recording of the PD certificate for attendance as well. All these recordings, including the PowerPoint presentation, will be available on our T-Level page on the City and Guilds website and also on our GoToWebinar platform as well. So just to give a quick overview of the team. So myself, Samantha Ashman, I'm the Technical Advisor for Engineering. And then as well as the core, because we're working closely with EAL with this T-Level, we've got Michael Scarrett, our Product Specialist, and he's been working across BSc and Engineering. So a lot of us who've been working on this T-Level. So the agenda today, as you can see, it's going to be a fun-packed afternoon. Just going to go through in each area. So talk about the guided learning hours, the pathways, what resources are going to be made available. And then we're going to look into those occupational specialisms in a bit more detail. So mechanical, electrical, electronics, control instrumentation and structural. And then from there, we've got how we will support you throughout your development of the T-Level. So support and guidance, events and webinars, looking at the provider approval process, opportunities to work for us at City and Guilds, websites that's been made available through the government. And then last of all, we've got the new engineering textbooks from Hodder Education, and there's some information on there when it's going to be released and costing as well. And then right at the end, we have got that opportunity for questionings as well. So if you're not already familiar, that the Engineering Manufacturing T-Level, we've got the core and the Occupational Specialism. Last webinar, we touched upon the core and looked about that maths papers and the employer set project. This webinar, we're going to look at the Occupational Specialism. So the Occupational Specialism is based on the occupational maps, and it's got practical and knowledge skills. And again, it's a 50% of the total qualification time. This is going to be assessed by a synoptic assessment, and it's going to be a practical assignment applying all the knowledge and skills within that section. And again, to make that T-Level program, we have got that course section, and then we've got the industry placement, tutorials, and then the learners, now with the new government requirement, is to continue to study as part of their conditional funding towards a level 2, but not exit a T-Level with a level 2 now. And that's the new update from the government. So the guided learning hours for our T-Level is still at 680 for the core and 680 for the occupational specialism. So that gives you 1,360 hours. When you've had actually the employee set project in there, and then you've got your work placements, etc., it puts it into a high T-Level bracket funding band as well. So when you look at it, an A-level, 3 A-levels are 1,080 hours, where this T-level is going to be 1,360 hours, so just over 3.5 A-levels when you're looking at that area. So the engineering core component is one main core component that covers all the pathways, and then we split into the occupational areas. And we've got design and development, maintenance, installation, repair, and manufacturing, processing and control. And today we're going to look at the design and development pathway. So the design and development pathway is being split into 4 occupational specialisms. So we've got mechanical, electrical, electronics, control instrumentation, and structural engineering. And we're going to look in those a bit more detail on how we can find the information to help you. So our specifications are now live, and these are the all three specific at the top. Or you can also then click on these links as well. When you get the copy of these slides, it will be in PDF format, and these will also link directly to the websites as well. So once you click on that tab, it will take you directly to the website where this specification is going to be shown. It's identified and shown on the screen. So we're going to look at this design and development, and we'll look at that in a bit more detail. To get the pathway, you can go to the website navigation, and hopefully the screen at the minute will flick over so you can see the website navigation. Yeah, go back one now. That's it, it's now working. So about that, bit of delay time. So from the website navigation, on the City and Girls page, if you type in qualification number 8714, then press search, you then get the actual qualification for engineering and manufacturing, and that gives that product code number of 8714. And when you click on that link, you will then be brought to another page. The alternative page, what you can do, is you can go via our T-level homepage. So on our City and Girls T-level homepage, so right at the top you've got T-levels, then click on providers, and then when it comes on the provider list, you see all the different T-levels that we offer through at City and Girls, and then you can go directly to engineering and manufacturing. Once you click on that engineering and manufacturing link, you then can select the qualification that you want to look under. So you've got the one for maintenance, one for manufacturing process control, and then today we're going to look at design and development. So when you click on that design and development, it will bring you to a new page. So the new page, and then information part of the page just talks about the actual specification and what a T-level is, talks about industry placement, etc. And then you want to click onto that tab called Documents. Within Documents, you've got Centre Documentation at the minute in there, and then you've got this specification. What you just do is click on that red download link to download it, and you'll be able to download the specification as shown here. That can then be saved onto your desktop, but again, always check on our websites with our specified version numbers. Again, we do update these specifications, so you might notice that these will go from version 1.01, 1.12, or version 2, etc. So always check to making sure they're checking on that version number. Alternatively, you can click on that link there, and it will take you directly to that web page, and it will send you to that specification on that area as well. So for the occupation, we have identified what type of resources that we will be required through our approval process. And the webinar on the 4th of February, we'll go over this in a bit more detail. But for those centres, if you look at page 13 onwards, it tells you what's the type of common resources that we're asking you to require. And then particular pathways, we identify what is the main part. It's only a selection, it's not all of it. You still have to look inside the occupational specialism itself, but these are the common resources that we expect you to have. So for example, mechanical engineering, we need to have some materials and components. Then we've got some screwdrivers, hacksaws, hammers, files, etc. And then we've got some calipers, rules, laser scanners, micrometers, protractors, etc. So different types of resource for different types of pathway that you're going to be offering. And as you notice, when you come a bit further in the qualification, you've got some material testing, such as in the structural engineering, you need to have a Sharpie testing machine. So again, ideally from page 13 onwards, you can see what type of resources that a centre should have to deliver this T level. So the occupational specialisms are both 4 areas are set at 34 hours duration. The marks are 90 and it's weighting of 100%, and it's externally moderated. Otherwise, it's marked by yourselves and moderated by us. And again, we will set your assessment on this. So there's no writing assignments or anything like that. We will give you the assignment to complete in class. And because it's part of the occupational maps, The grade and reward for this area will be a pass, merit or distinction. In addition to that, we've got that core component that we discussed on our last webinar. We've got the 2 exam papers that are set at 2.5 hours each. Again, marks are under 100 and it's weighted at 35%, and these are externally marked. And then we've got the employee set project for the design and development pathway. With that, an 18.5 hours, weighting of 30%, and again, externally marked, and that gave total grade on that area for A star to E. So that is what makes the overall occupational specialism for design and development. So in summary, each occupational specialism is a practical assignment. It's got 90 marks, it's 34 hours, it's externally set, internally marked, and it's externally moderated by us at City and Guild. It's based on a project brief, so a scenario based in industry. So you'll have a scenario, you can see one in a minute, you see different types of scenarios and based on industry requirement. It's got a range of individual tasks that map to the performance outcomes. I'm going to look at those in a bit more detail. And then we've also got the mark scheme that reflects the individual performance outcomes as well. And we'll have a look at that more detail as well. So the performance outcomes, and this is the same for all occupational specialisms. So you notice our performance outcome starts at PO2 to PO5. PO1 is actually the knowledge section within the occupational specialism. PO2 to PO5 is actually the practical section within the occupational specialism. So that's why we start it there. So PO2, we've got analyse, interpret engineering and manufacturing requirements, systems, processes, technical drawings and specifications. And what we've got a weighting for that is at 16%. Where we're doing any drawing or designing, we can see we've got some higher weighting marks. So PO3 and PO4, we've got 22% and 23%. And then the PO4 is 26%, and that's collaboration. Other words, working with others to manage and develop a quality system. And we can talk about that bit more collaboration task in this area. And then the final part, so once we've designed, tested, built, worked with others and presented, we've got that communication section, which is at 13%. And again, these are going to be the exactly same weighting for every different version of assignments. So the general sample assessments we're creating at the minute has got these weightings, then future series assignments or live assessments, they will still have this same performance outcome and weighting. And it's to making sure that we've got the appropriate depth and breadth of knowledge and skills for each specialism. In other words, it's meeting that industry needs. So anything that will change within that T level, we will then inform you guys. We will then make the reason why behind it. And we're also making sure, because these are T levels that has been designed by employers, we also get the employers engaged as well to making sure that these are still fit for purpose. So again, that's why those performance outcomes are the same across all 4 occupational specialisms. So we're now going to look at the occupational. So we won't be repeating those again. But again, you've got these for reference for further information. So for design and development, mechanical engineering, this is what's in the specification on page 29 onwards. And what it says on page 20, durations we're going to give you on these assignments as well. And also if a learner who fails that occupational specialism, when they can take that retake. And again, these are externally set assignments by us at City and Guilds. So the component and assessment methods for mechanical engineering, we've got the learners will be able to, so the content overview. And we've got 5 bullet points on there. So analyse, interpret engineering and manufacturing requirements, evaluate systems and designs, propose design mechanical engineering, collaboration and communication. And if you notice, they do link to them performance outcome. So that's why we've got those performance outcome right at the beginning of our sections. Within the assessment overview, the learner's going to be doing a bit of health and safety, design and planning, manufacturing and creating a report as well. So in order to deliver this content, we need to look at the specification and where it comes from. So the specification for mechanical engineering. What we have right in design development pathway. So you've got some knowledge about design methodologies, tools and equipment, mathematical theories, skills in producing mechanical drawings, skills in design and developing working models, and also testing models and prototypes. On page 72, you've got the underpinning knowledge outcome, and this is where it's been split into two areas. So underpinning knowledge outcome 1, PO1, is mechanical engineering knowledge criteria. Then anything from PO2 onwards, so 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, is where we've got that practical skills. And those practical skills will be assessed via practical assignment. And again, within there, we've also got some identification regarding maths, English, digital skills in more detail as well. So just going to look at mechanical engineering for knowledge, in other words, the knowledge section. On page 73 onwards. It's that across all different occupational specialisms, it's set up in exactly the same way. So the first part, where you got mechanical engineering knowledge criteria 1.1, you got the principles of engineering design in a mechanical engineering. That is what we class as our learning outcome. Within that learning outcome, we've got a range, and a range is what needs to be delivered and assessed. So within that range, we've got requirements and some examples requirements. We've got method identity requirements. We've got methods of recording requirements, product life cycle, sustainability, safety, etc. And that gives them more information, detail, what is required to deliver that topic or principles of engineering design in mechanical engineering. We then got a next section called what do learners need to learn? And that primary purpose is to support that delivery of that context. So in other words, when a learner is completing that topic of, say, dimensioning, why they need to know about dimensioning requirements, or other words, how to identify, interpret and confirm client and customer requirement, proposal, ideas, objectives and aspirations. So in other words, it's making in more depth and more breadth of what that subject needs to be taught in more detail. We then got that skills section called EC1. EC1 relates to the core skills. So EC1, it relates to our English skills and section 1. And you'll be able to see those in the specification, what each individual English, maths and digital skills are related to. And that's how we would interpret the specification for the knowledge. So nice and clear, tells you what needs to be covered, tells you what the learners need to learn, and how it also maps to the English, maths and digital skills. We've also got then our practical skills. So for in the one, and now we're going to outcome 2, which is our practical skills. So our practical skills, we've got 2, which is analyse, interpret, engineering, manufacturing requirements, system, processes, technical drawings and specification, related to that performance outcome. And in 2.1, they're going to be talking about access, interpreting and responding to mechanical design projects and tasks and requirements from different sources. So again, we've got the range. And the range is similar to same to the knowledge section, but again, we're going to support it by practical skills. So in other words, getting them to produce design briefs, specification, concepts of different drawings, etc. And what needs to be part of assessed. And that's going to be part of that occupational specialism assignment. Instead of what do learners need to learn, we've got what do learners need to demonstrate now. And this is the primary purpose of that practical skills. So in other words, what we've learned regarding those breadth and depth within the knowledge, we've also going to then back it up with demonstrating through practical skills. So in other words, the learners need to follow processes to access, examine, interpret, review and respond to information on mechanical engineering projects and tasks from different sources. So need to know how they would demonstrate that to complete that practical assessment. And again, the skills are identified in EC1, EC5 and EC6. And these are related to core skills. And this time we're picking up on our English skills again. So as you can see on those 2 different examples, it's easy to follow what the learners need to complete, how it relates to those performance outcomes, and what we're going to be assessing on those practical assessments. So to put it into practice, we need to look at an exemplar assessment. So on the screen now, you've got an example producing our guided sample assessment material for you to share with you. We are doing some validation events regarding our sample assessment material next week. So if anyone wants to come and join us, then please do get in touch and we can send you the link to our validation events. So we're going to look at mechanical. So we've got the assignment brief, and this is a mechanical engineer employed by an engineering company. And the company has a large store area for parts and materials, and they need to design a manually powered mechanical lifting device to use in a stored area. And we've got an example of how this lifting device should be. We then got the design criteria, and the design criteria for that, a couple of examples on that. The device must be capable of lifting a cuboid box of a maximum width, depth and height of 500. The device must be able to lift the box 1 meter and return to its start position. So a couple of design criteria that they need to do when they're designing. And then we've also got the time allocated. So task 1 is allocated at 14 hours, task 2, 13 hours, task 3, 1 hour, and task 4, 6 hours. And again, it's all under supervised condition and controlled assessment. And again, if we've got braking, make sure we've got brakes as well. All materials must be kept secure during safe in that break. Within that occupational specialism, you've also got the resources that's going to be made required as well. So to complete that task, and an example of ideas. So you've got the assessor's pack, you've got a candidate pack as well. So what should be needed to complete that task for that candidate? So if you look at the tasks, so task 1 is our designing. So for the designing, we've got the allocated detailed brief design specification that builds on that design criteria. Sketch and annotate up to 3 potential designs. Select appropriate one and justify. Carry out calculations to lift that load. Create engineering drawings using a CAD software. Produce a virtual model using the CAD software. And then create a bill of materials of all the parts required in the final design. Once they've completed that during that allocated hours, they're going to manufacture and test, so task 2. So they need to build a prototype, it can be a full size or scale model, and the minimum acceptable size is 1 to 5. And the candidates must produce a risk assessment, manufacture that prototype, and test that operation of that prototype. Once they've completed all that, they're going to go to a peer review, that collaboration part within that performance outcome. So task 3, they're going to look at each other's ideas. The assessor is going to set up the groups and copy the designs, and they're going to assess their designs. So in other words, you're going to be presenting their designs verbally, explaining why you've done that designs, then peer review, reflect on those designs. So in other words, within that group, they're going to reflect on those designs that candidate's done, discuss some feedback, and then complete a peer review form. In that allocated time what's been identified. Then task 4, we've got this evaluation and implementation. So in other words, from our designing to manufacturing to a reviewing, we've got to evaluate what we've completed so far. So produce a virtual model, revise control documentation, calculation of efficiency of the lift, if it worked or not, explain the test methods, different types of test methods used, and if they've taken any information from that peer review, did they use it or did they not, and reason why they didn't take into part of it. All those tasks are set under control conditions, like I said previously, and in that allocated time of that 34 hours for this T-level occupational specialism. As assessors, you will then be looking at these marking grids. Assessment theme all relates to these marking grids. So your assessment theme, for example, on the screen is shown for design and planning, and where it relates to that assessment theme. So that's in task 1 and task 4. We then got the band 1 descriptors to band 2 to band 3 descriptors. And we've got the indicative content as well. So to make those band descriptors, these are types of contents that we would need to see for you as assessors to mark in more detail. When you look at the descriptors, a band 1 descriptor is classed as a threshold learner and a band 3 is classed as a distinction learner. So in other words, you pass your merit distinction. So looking at this part on here, so for example, in band 1 descriptor, we've got marks of allocated about 1 to 4, and it gets about specification is brief with minor inaccuracies in technical knowledge. Most points have been analysed, considered and elaborated on. Some key materials and quantities to meet the brief has been identified. To get into the higher band, so moving up that scale to be 5 to 8 points, we've got most key material quantities required to meet the brief has been identified. Some reasonable provides justification choice material. And to go into that distinction grade, we've got that clear and detailed reasoning provided to justify choice of major selection material. All design calculation and methodology applies are accurate with reference to industry standards and annotation. And you've got different types of assessment themes and marking bands per assignment. So that just gives you a quick overview of what a type of assignment and assessment would be in the mechanical occupational specialism area. We're going to look at electrical electronics and show you what type of occupational 29 onwards. And as you can see on there, so we've got the assessment overview. So it's still following the same part of how it was on mechanical. And then also we've got some a bit more information as well. And this time we've got electronic systems as well. So propose and design electrical electronic engineering components, where they once said mechanical components. So the specification is to undertake design and development with manufacturing systems, evaluating systems, proposing design electrical engineering, communicating and collaboration. So again, it's the same process, but for a different pathway. So with the OS Exemplar assessment for electrical electronics, due to the description of what that's going to be, you got the design criteria. So for example, the circuitry must detect when the height of the box is less than 200. The maximum weight of the box is 2 kilograms. If the box is less than 200 millimeters high and 300 millimeters long, it must directly down the chute A. And if it's larger than these sizes, it must be directed down chute B. So a bit of logic on this one. And again, we've got that time allocation. So task 1, 14 hours, task 2, 13 hours, task 3, 1 hour, and task 6, 6 hours, total hours of 34 hours. So with this one, it's the same process. So design, sensors with justification, configuration of the circuit in CAD software, assemble a physical model of the circuit and test its operations, and also then produce a bill of material. For task 2, for the manufacturing test, they're going to produce risk assessments and construct of the solder prototype PCB board, produce the PCB for design, build and solder a prototype working, and then test it. We're then going to look at that peer review again. So looking at those designs, sketches, annotations, etc., discussion, and then the evaluation section, same as last time. Why it was changed, what revision, did you get accepted for the peer review, what did you do right, report is no typical the 800 words, any justifications, any improvements, etc., and all marking towards that occupational specialism marking bands as well. So again, nice and simply, easy to follow across different occupational specialisms. A quick look at control and instrumentation engineering. So for control and instrumentation engineering, you can find the details within the specification of that bit about control and instrument is on page 120 onwards. Basic features and configuration of control systems and designing processes and processes for a process control system. So, other words, more hands-on on this one. So for this one, we are going to look at the Exemplar assessment material. So for the assignment brief, again, you're going to get a summary of the range limit, with core parameters, and detect when the light level above is below a certain amount, and also the core parameters to its operation. And again, exactly the same duration for the taskings as well. So again, still the same setup. So design, manufacture, test, peer review and evaluation in the definition of the operating limits, analysis of how the system stability will be achieving, suitable temperature, and again with some calculations as well, produce a virtual model using appropriate software, and then create a bill of materials as well. So for that manufacturing test, we're going to do a risk assessment. They're going to produce a permanent construction method produce of the prototype, and then they're going to test and verify the operation of the completed prototype as well. Once all complete, we'll go back into that peer review like we did previously on the other ones, and then we've got the evaluation as well. So in other words, following the exactly the same process. So looking at the last one now. So this is going to be structural engineering. Engineering, you can find this on page 20. It's on page 3 to 4. Skills the learner's going to know how structural. They're going to know about interpretation of the brief and project constraints to develop a structural concept. They're going to also find out about engineering in 2D and 3D drawings. They're also going to know structure. So this occupational specialist assignment, the exemplar. So skylines are resilient in all weather conditions, reduce vulnerability to lightning strike, and easy to install by a mobile crane. And again, the duration to complete that task is going to be 34 hours. So from there, we're going to look at the tasks. So task 1, design, task 2, manufacturing test, task 3, peer review, and task 4, evaluation and implementation. Model using a CAD software, and also create a bill of material. For manufacturing and test, they're going to do a risk assessment. They're going to construct a scale prototype of the main body of the pylon and carry out some global stability tests for the scale prototype. And then they're going to carry out some material strengthening tests for the full scale sample of the main pylon as well. And then I'm going to do that bit of peer reviewing and then that bit of evaluation and implementation, where they need to review, explain, evaluate, and justify for any improvements. And again, meeting those marking bands. So I hope that gives you an overview of what are occupational specialisms for our areas and what some general sample assessments that we are going to be releasing to you for guidance. We're just now going to look at a couple of our slides, next slides, regarding how we can help you and how we're going to support you. So e-bulletin. So our e-bulletin is just released today. So if you haven't got that, then please do sign up on our website to get our e-bulletin update content. And then also we've got our website as well. Within our websites, we've got some supported and guidance documentation, T-level in engineering and manufacturing, and see what we are in our next webinars and what we're going to be showing. We've got some provider focus groups coming up. The provider one this time is going to be reviewing this GSEM material, so that guided sample assessment materials. Again, looking for that. We have our employer industry board, so if any employers who want to come and join us, and please do get in touch with our we have got our specifications as identified through that short how to get to design and development. For open days and events, we have designed a flyer. So again, you can click on the T-level flyer and you can see that information on there. Technical advisors who are there to dedicate for any questions regarding T-levels and anything else. And then if you click on that direct link at the bottom, you can go direct to our provider section, which will look like this on here. So coming up soon events, we've got resource. I'm going to look into our teaching and learning support for exam components. We're still offering one-to-ones with providers, so if you're interested, then please do get in touch. And then as well in February, we've got a T-level expert question session, so please check out under our events and our next events are going to be. And you can use doing that, click on that here now, and it goes down to our events webinar. As I said previously, all these webinars are dedicated on our engineering go on that link there, and it will take you directly to our GoToWebinar channel, and you can see all the different events that we've got. Our latest event, so this week we've got 2 more going ahead. So on the 20th, we've got T-level for maintenance, installation, repair, and then we've got the T-level for manufacturing process control, occupational specialisms. So again, you can still sign up on these registration links and join us on the webinars this week. We've also got provider approval webinars coming up in February as well. So again, getting those ready to teach. So you can click on Resource Hub, it takes you direct to all our resources. So a private approval processes and links to specification links, timelines, documentations. There's also some information there, resources from the construction and BSc. And then we'll start updating that with the engineering and the management and administration. So you can see what's on in our resources, what's made available for free for you. Our approval timeline, so the process of what's happening regarding the approval and what's happened through that part, and then the information guide again as well. So again, we've got T-level provider approval webinar on Friday the 4th of Feb at 10 o'clock. And again, click on that link in, you go straight directly to the approval webinar. And then individual webinars for different occupationals. So we've got construction, BSc and engineering on Monday the 1st of March. And then we've got management and administration on Monday the 1st of March. Same, one in the morning, one in the afternoon. So again, you can register for those events of how to prepare your centre for the approval activity. In addition to that, we've got some websites to support guide to providers. These have been on there. We'll put the dates on when these have been updated. So you've got some regarding placements, T-level updates, some funding, some capital resources, next step for providers, latest one regarding transition programs. So we've got that on there as well. So you can click on that link regarding transition programs for 22-23. And then the ETF, who's been doing some good development, professional development series as well. We're always shouting out to people to work with us at City and Girls. So we're now looking for associate vacancies and our technical qualification associates. So those who's going to be coming out to centres to check your centre approval. And we are recruiting on those at the minute. And they are just doing their training this week. So the ones who's actually passed through. So they are getting trained at the minute. So if you're interested, then please do. So if you click on this associate vacancy link, it will go to this page. And then we've got some vacancies available for engineering. But any information, then do get in contact with us for further information regarding what's the roles available. Last of all, before I go down to any questions session, is HOD of Education. So HOD of Education reads complete coverage on the T-level exam. They're hoping it to be published around about an ebook, a boosted ebook is going to be £11 per sample chapter as well. Or you can also visit the website called www.hodofeducation.co.uk/T-levels. So just to give you an overview what will be inside that T-level textbook, you've got some learning outcomes, staff to learning, you've got some health and safety workplace, key terms that you may as ready in preparation for the employer Sept project. So looking forward to that book to be released from HOD of Education. So I've come to the end of the webinar and I'd like to say thank you for attending. I hope it's been informative and you understand.
Yeah, we've had quite a few questions. I don't know if it's worth going through a few. Okay, we have answered them as we've gone, but you know, it's probably always good to pick up on them. So I'll start with commend teaching the knowledge for the occupational specialism with the common core, or would you separate? And we've answered that saying that the common core is obviously a separate module. The occupational specialism should be typically done in year 2. However, some of the practical could be possibly brought forward into year 1 if that's what you wanted to do. There's nothing to stop you from doing that, but we would say deliver the core in the year 1 and keep them separate.
Yeah, agree on that.
Add anything to that?
No, agree on that. That's a good answer. I know some providers who I've been working with, they are looking at doing a mixed delivery, so a bit of a core and then start introducing occupational specialisms to get that practical experience into that T level. But again, it's how you feel most appropriate for delivery as well.
Yeah. Just looking at some of the other questions. So just looking at the tasks, I think this is in terms of the control and instrumentation. They do appear to look like level 6 tasks. How could they be differentiated from what is on current HE programs? So we've said that, you know, all our assessments have been validated by our employers, our employer panels, the centres and the institute as well, to ensure that they are currently at that level 3 standard and everyone's signed off that they are at that level 3 standard.
Yeah, again with that question, if you do have any concerns regarding some of those tasks, I recommend you come and join our G7 validation sessions that's coming up for example, for control instrumentation. Please do get in contact with myself or Rob, and then we can send you that validation link. It's on Teams, not through GoToWebinar. It's on Teams, and you can come and see where we've got that theoretical theory and where we've got learners who undertake those tasks and what their sample assessment's going to look like. So I recommend you come join us.
Yeah, cheers. And just a few other questions just regarding the GLH, and I think you've just answered that yourself in that last statement, Sam.
Yeah, brilliant. So if you've got no more questions, what I would like to say is thank you for joining us. Hope you can come and join us on the next webinar where we're looking at maintenance, installation, repair, occupational specialisms. But as always, any queries, do get in touch with us and we'll speak to you soon. Thank you.